Here with Concordia head cross country coach Matt Beisel to preview the 2024 season. As we record this, getting pretty close to the first official meet. I know the whole team's just reported to campus, so we'll get into it. I know things get pretty hectic from August through May with cross country and track seasons. What's something maybe you were able to do to get away from it all this summer?
I mean, a lot. I was able to spend time with my family. We took a big 2.5-week trip out west and were able to get a lottery pass with our in-laws and go rafting down the Smith River in Montana and fishing, and got to visit a lot of national parks. I was able to go on a trip with my son and was able to get lots of professional development time, lots of personal time this summer. Excited about this next year. Got a lot of things nailed down and a lot of new ideas.
I know, like I said, you haven't had a ton of time to be around your teams yet, but what are some things maybe you've emphasized with them or tried to I guess get across in this early time with the team?
Yeah, well, I think one of the big things that I've really been talking with the runners about is this idea of process before outcome, and it's about, and it's an old saying. It's something that coaches talk about all the time, but I think it's something that we do well, and it's this idea that, look, one of our things that we try to do as a program is to build programs of competitive greatness. That's just one of them, and in that little realm, we recruit really hard. We bring in great kids. We develop them. We build a team culture as a staff, and the athletes we bring in contribute greatly to that because of who they are. And we work our butts off, and we have a lot of fun in the process. There's always a lot of laughter and a lot of hard work and practice. And then we give it up to God, and the outcome takes care of itself. And with the distance runners, it's easy sometimes, like I think a lot of athletes do, of getting caught up and looking at rankings and looking at things like that. And what I want us to do is take it day by day, week by week, focus on these amazing people we have with us, focus on the joy and the privilege that we have of being able to run at the collegiate level with incredible teammates and go head to head against great teams and see what happens. And I think that's one of the things. I think also, again, this is something that sort of happens organically on its own, but I try to pray about it a lot, guide and bring in the right people, but to have men's and women's teams that are really focused on each other and about developing that brotherhood and that sisterhood on those two teams. And I think we've got the people to do that this year again, and it's really cool.
Wanted to get into a little bit of discussion about both teams specifically, but the men, I know they bring a whole lot back from last year. Certainly missed Calvin Rohde, and he had a phenomenal career. But what can you say about the competition you'll see there with so many guys back? 9 of the 10 who ran at GPAC last year are back on the team. Yeah.
I've said this to several people, but and this is my 9th year here, and it is the deepest, strongest men's distance squad that we've had in my time. And it's a lot of fun to think about. And I think the guys have been working really, really hard for several years to build a deep team bond and a unity of purpose. And I think that even though we lose Calvin, who is an impact person, not just as a runner, but as a human being, and we're talking from a cross-country perspective. We graduated some other distance guys, but he was kind of the one that everyone notices. But we bring back these deep guys, really good depth, great strength, and they all had really good track seasons, making improvements that predict, things might be even better in cross country. And again, track times don't necessarily translate. You can't say, oh, this person ran this on the 5K and the track. It's gonna be like this in cross country, because cross country takes a whole new mindset of grit and determination that you don't have to deal with on the track. But I think I'm feeling good about it. And then you bring in a great freshman class with a couple, probably out of the 7 guys we've got, there's 3 or 4 of them that I think are ready to roll from a developmental standpoint. So that's going to be fun.
And on the women's side, it's no secret you have some good ones to replace from last year, but that typically happens every year. How do you see things kind of coming along there with the women, led by seniors like Rhea Kaczynski?
Yeah, I'm feeling really pumped about what we've got, and again, it is going to be a completely different new look because we did graduate a number of our huge impact player seniors that helped us win a national title in the 4x8, and they're also really good long distance runners. But that's okay because the girls we have returning are very talented, and again, the word that I would use, when I think about these women, is these are tough women. Like, they have such a gritty, tough mindset, and I think that is something that's going to really come into our favor. We may, maybe we lose a Kylan or a Julie or somebody like that who has that pure speed right now, but I think these girls are ready to develop into that, and they're going to fight hard in a tough environment, and that's going to be fun. And then we have some great new girls coming in on board. We've got some girls who are injured during track season who are going to be impact players as well.
GPAC is always a challenge in any sport. Placed second on the women's side and third on the men's side last year. Just how do you expect just the conference to shape up this year, and how Concordia might fit in?
Yeah, I think in any sport in the GPAC, top three is really dang good, and we're never satisfied with third. We're never satisfied with second. We want the title, and we're doing everything we can to get there. But I do think that both our men and our women are top three and potentially top two teams. It's hard to suss that out because you never know what's going to happen. As I look at the early analysis of who's graduated from other teams, and at least from what I know, and again, not having any idea of who they're bringing on board, but also knowing their history of recruiting well, of their coaching ability and being able to develop kids. I think on the women's side, I think Dort's going to come back pretty strong, although they lost some really talented people, Jessica Campman, Christine Honemichael, three others, but they have some really good ones coming back, and Dort does a great job of bringing in a few really talented freshmen every year that impact, so we'll see what happens. I think that, and I may be wrong about this, but Northwestern seems potentially poised to be a contender for a top three spot. They had three girls running the 18s this year in track and the 5K that are returning. There was one girl that ran indoor who ran a great 3K who's going to be back, and I don't know who they're bringing in, but the coaches there do a good job. And then again, you never count out Doane, you never count out Morningside, you never count out Hastings. Those are all teams that have had success in the past and have definitely improved in a lot of ways. So we'll see what happens. We're just going to take care of our own business and let them take care of theirs, and we'll start running into them here pretty soon. And on the guys' side, again, I think we could be right up there in that top three mix, but I think there's a more clear-cut example of who that top three is going to be. I think Dort, again, they lose people like Peyton Malden, and they lose Peter Shippey and some of these other talented kids, but they return Craig Becker and another group of guys. And then Doane, from what I can tell, doesn't lose a single person. They bring back Nelson Rudo, or Emmanuel Yago, Thomas Oliver, and I can keep naming people. And I think they have a healthy Luke Boniface who had some injury this last year. And they mean business, and they're well coached. And so I think those are the two teams our guys are going to really have to fight hard to beat, and I think we have the potential to do it. We'll just have to see how it all shakes out.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know some of your teams try to come up with maybe a theme to focus their energy through the preseason and into the first several meets. I know Rhea Kaczynski talked about unity and humility, I believe.
Humility, yeah.
How do you see that kind of helping focus your teams? goals and everything they want to do?
So the girls and the guys came up with separate themes, and I think it's really appropriate. I mean, obviously there's crossover, but I think they are separate teams, and sometimes they get kind of blended when we talk about them, but they are distinct teams, men and women, and they have their own championships. And I think our women's team, unity is a big deal. That chemistry is so important, and I think with guys and girls, it's sometimes really easy to worry about, how do I stack up against this person on my team? And so instead of a healthy competition on the team, sometimes you see people sort of setting themselves against others. Oh, did I make the relay? Did I make the spot in conference? And I think what I've heard from the girls is they want to continue to build that piece of where they are all in it together and they are unified. But then how do you do that? It's through going, look, Christ gives us each value. We're not defined by who we are as runners. And because of that, if we focus on each other and focus on loving and caring for each other and being happy for each other, really good things are going to happen. And and they had some Bible verses to go along with that. On the guys' side, it's embrace the suck. That's what the guys came up with, and they have some Bible verses to support that as well. But what they're talking about in that is look, what they said to me is what we do is really hard. And it is sometimes a thankless thing. It is really difficult. You're going out there and you're striving and you're sacrificing, and it's just getting in a mindset of saying, we love this. This is where we want to be. This is who we are. And if anyone's gonna, get through the suck or whatever you want to call it, it's gonna be us who come out victorious. And again, through, in a different mindset of way, through that close team connection where they know they care about each other and they're gonna find that strength just like the girls will when the going gets tough, to remember that it's not just about them. It is about these amazing guys and girls racing side by side with them. And as I did as an athlete, as many athletes have done, when it's not just about you, you can always find strength that you didn't know you have. Again, with God's help. And I think those are two great themes that fit our two teams.
Well, if the process goes well, maybe the results will end up with more trips to nationals. I know it moves again to Columbia, Missouri, which I'm assuming would be a new course for probably everybody.
Yeah.
But how do you prepare when you have those situations? I know Vancouver was something other people had already been to before, I think. But how do you prepare when you know you have a new course? And any other final thoughts too that go with this upcoming season?
Yeah, I think Gans Creek is a beautiful cross country course that runs really well. Big open turn, big wide turns, big open spaces, and it's a meet where it's a true cross country course, but it's also not going to be like bottlenecks like Vancouver has with really soppy conditions. I mean, who knows? We might get a big rainstorm, but I think the main thing to do is, to me, from what I've heard, it's like, okay, we're going to prepare for Blazing Tiger, which is where conference is being held, and it's definitely got some ups and downs and some twists and turns. And I think if we can be successful there, we're going to have a great shot at making it to nationals and doing well. And so we're gonna do a lot of things similar training-wise to what we've done in the past. But again, I've been spending a lot of time this last 2 years really thinking and learning about the kinds of not just physical and physiological training stimulus that I think our athletes need to get used to dealing with and their energy systems need to deal with, but also the mindset that goes with that. And as I was listening to a podcast the other day, it's like you got to prepare the machine, you got to get the engine ready and put it through the paces, but you've also got to get the GPS turned in or you won't know where you're going. And so the brain and the body have got to both be engaged and a part of the process. And I think there's things we can do with training that we haven't emphasized as much in the past that we're going to start this Saturday, and it's going to help us prepare for those type of courses. And and all that. So I think it's going to be good. We've got great kids, great leadership, a lot of talented kids who care about each other, and again, no matter what the outcome, to God be the glory. That's what we're all about.
Last thing, can I get a SCO Dogs?
Let's go Dogs! Yeah!